Okay, let's get to it. Kirby in the Forgotten Land is coming out so soon that some people probably already have the full game already. Now, I want to make a prediction tier list on how good I think each ability is going to be before I try them out myself in the full game. Of course, I've already played the demo, so I know how 8 out of the 34 abilities are going to work. Additionally, for reference, I will have the No ability Kirby represent the C tier. With that done, let's get to it. The Bomb ability is definitely an interesting one. It releases friendly fireworks and allows you to toss them, and roll them all over the place. However, I'm going to put this in the D tier. The reason for this is because of the lack of versatility the bomb power now has. The bomb has a decent range in the bomb ball, but requires Kirby to be dashing beforehand. Otherwise, whenever you summon a bomb, you have to stand still and aim at the bomb, which doesn't do a lot of damage when compared with a Star Bullet. Additionally, the bomb has no defense mechanism against bosses, which gives it the D tier spot. The Fire ability is definitely a fun one. Honestly, it has never really made the S tier on my list before, but I will say one improvement in this game is the fact that you can breathe fire while moving. However, I do not know of any other attacks Fire Kirby has besides breathing fire. While it's possible Kirby has a Fireball Dash attack, I do fear that the ability has been simplified for this game, and you won't be seeing Kirby set himself on fire, or turn to a fire wheel. I would expect Fire to do about the same damage as Ice, and seeing how if Ice fights against Gormondo, Kirby's putting himself in danger unless he can freeze the boss in time. Fire probably has a longer range compared to Ice, but Kirby would likely still put himself in danger. Fighting Tropic Woods may be a different story, but other bosses might have the upper hand. As a result, I'm putting this in the D tier. Throw the Boomerang, one that is pretty sharp. I'll be clear, Cutter got buffed in this game. Compared to past titles, including Star Allies, Cutter has about the same amount of versatility. While you can't do the Cutter Dash, the ability to keep the Boomerang in place gives Kirby a much more control over the attack. And since keeping that Boomerang in place increases the Boomerang's damage, you can send the Boomerang out in the air, charge it up, dodge your opponent, and then return for a devastating Punisher. Additionally, Cutter can also retrieve food and star coins, so I'm placing this in B tier. While hardly any hammer gameplay has been shown, I know it has at least 3 different attacks: the normal hammer bonk, the air hammer spin, and the hammer uppercut. That attack deals massive damage. I don't know if hammer has any other attacks such as hammer twirl or swing, which also is used to dodge attacks, but since you have the ability to duck and jump out of the way, twirl and swing may not be needed. But with that said, I think it's going to be hard not to take damage while you proceed to attack a boss. Because of that, I think hammer will go in the C tier. I need to chill. No A tiers yet. That's too bad. I'm including evolution, so you're just gonna have to wait a little bit longer. Anyways, time for Ice Kirby. You have a Deep Freeze defense, Ice Breath, and if you spam B while dashing, you can freeze anything nearby. While I struggled with this ability against Gormondo at first, once I realized you could protect yourself with the Ice Block, patience became the only challenge when facing this boss. The drawback is the short range Ice has, which Gormondo made me realize a boss can keep its distance. I placed Ice in the B tier. If Ice Suction was in the game, I would put it in an A, but that does not appear to be the case. Okay, Needle got buffed as well. Yeah, come to think of it, that's not much of a surprise. And being honest, I'm glad to see it return, not appearing for the previous 2 games. And I think it was gone because of how underpowered the ability was. Basically, short range and immobile. It would protect you against enemies, but not against bosses. Now, you get to move while you're a spiky ball. Now, it did get that buff. I do not know if Needle has any other attacks. I think it's now short range and mobile. If the Needle Burst is in the game, I'll put this in the B tier. If Needle has the ability to pick up and throw Star Bullets, I would also move it up a tier. For, I think the Spike Ball will protect Kirby from small shockwaves, but that's about it. My final prediction is the C tier for Needle. Sword has basically been a long time recurring ability, just like Fire. It's a Zelda reference and a solid ability. In my honesty, I don't usually play Sword because there's usually a better option out there somewhere, but I do play it in each game. Sword seemed okay at first, but then I learned of a specific combo, Slide A-B. That's pretty fun, and it seems to be the only dash attack available in the demo. And speaking of Zelda references, I'm not referring to the Sword Beam, I'm referring to this Witch Time counterattack from Breath of the Wild. But all that aside, Sword does okay damage, short range. While the dash combo is cool and deals a lot of damage, I still put this in the C tier. This ability has been gone for even longer, unless you include Kirby Royale, but that doesn't cover Tornado's specialty. Tornado's specialty is speed, and its downfall is in past games where it's difficult to control due to low deceleration and its lack of altitude. Since this is a 3D game, elevation platforms should be way less common, and with that obstacle out of the way, Tornado is likely to go for speedrunners. Tornado in combat is rather good as well. When I played Return of Dreamland, I destroyed Mr. Duda with the Tornado ability, so I think Tornado has a lot of potential in this game. It will be a high skill cap ability to master, but I think this ability goes in the A tier. Tornadoes are not drills, do not get the two confused. While Tornado masters the skies, Drill masters the ground. It appears that Drill will allow you to avoid enemy combat while digging underground. You may even draw circles to deal damage. As cool as that sounds, I do not think this will end well against bosses. This is because the Eruption attack only deals damage to the target Drill circles around. And the only other way to deal damage with the Drill is to emerge under your target. Yet again, the Drill makes evasion very easy, so I believe this should go in the B tier. I'm gonna say this now and not beat this around the bush. Ranger is A tier. After trying out Monster Hunter Rise and seeing how much better I was doing against bosses when I changed my weapon from the longsword to a bowgun, I realized how strong Ranger is going to be in this game. The ability has the longest range of all the core abilities, and it still allows you to be mobile. You'll be able to take on bosses while remaining at a safe distance. It's not S tier because I do believe that evolved abilities are going to be more effective at dealing more damage, but this is still a very strong ability. Sleep. Okay, this is the usual Sleep Kirby, not the Battle Royale Sleep Kirby. This is why I have the F tier slot. If you don't believe me, just type Kirby episode 18 and just watch the video. You'll understand the true dread of sleep. It's a recurring ability, only to scale the challenge in the game. Usually coming up along with Mike, but Mike took it off this time. Crash is left alone. Crash deals a devastating blow, and then you lose the ability. Well, I did say I did put normal Kirby in the C tier, and after Crash, you get normal Kirby. However, you deal a massive amount of damage with Crash, and you'll likely half the boss's health bar. So this is at least a B tier. Okay, that does it all for the base level abilities. The evolved abilities unlock as you find blueprints and spend star coins on those upgrades. Okay, I won't go into speculation, let's just hop right into the sorting. How Chain Bomb works is that if two bombs are close to each other, they form a chain. The more bombs you have chained together, the more damage each bomb will deal. So this requires some skill to make the most out of. But you can theoretically take more than a third of Gormondo's health if you place your chain bombs correctly. Because of this, I put Chain Bomb in the B tier. Now, as much as I love volcanoes and lava, volcano fire does not appear to be as hot. While the damage and range are greater, it does not improve the main problem fire has: the vulnerability and lack of mobility. I might be wrong about this, but I'm afraid that volcano fire isn't going to be much of an improvement. As a result, I'm going to put this in D tier. 2 is better than 1, they say, and I think that's true in this case. 2 does a better job than 1. Now, I tested out Chakram Cutter in the demo, and it appears that the cutters thrown here are weaker than normal than a cutter blade. But if you throw 2 at a time, and the curved angles help with crowd control, Chakram Cutter is definitely better than regular. It's not the S tier yet, but definitely is an A tier. Next up on our list is a funny toy! It doesn't have to make sense that this thing hurts the Beast Pack, but it doesn't have to. It's bigger, faster, but not stronger than regular hammer. It's Toy Hammer, and it's funny. I feel this is more of an alternative as a faster, easier to hit hammer, but not as an upgraded hammer entirely. As a result, this is still going to be in the C tier. The ice is even stronger than normal, and you make snowmen! Okay, in all seriousness, the snowmen are the real change here. You build snowmen and then you shoot them! How good are these against enemies? Well, they're fine if they don't move. Against bosses? Yeah, I tried shooting snowmen at Gormondo. They don't do a lot of damage. Plus, they break if a projectile hits them. And they're kinda hard to aim. Nice addition, but doesn't cut the A tier. B tier for Frosty Ice. Gigant Sword. A tier. Now if you have a shield that's 100% Gormondo safe, and is likely deity safe as well, I can't promise it will protect you from Silly Della's cage, but the Gigant Sword can do everything Sword can. But with a bigger sword, and if you can charge up that sword, you will deal massive damage. Actually, put it in S tier. I think that big sword has a lot of mobility, more than it should. The Swallow Tornado appears to be based off the new mid-boss. Anyway, it's a bigger tornado, and as I learned from my affection of watching tornadoes, the bigger ones are likely to move up the EF scale. And that means more damage. The same thing goes up here. It's gone from EF0 to EF2. The bigger tornado allows him to keep a distance from bosses. And this thing probably deals more damage as well. This is enough to bring it up to the S tier. Pencil Drill! The change here is that there's a pencil projectile. From what I've seen, it's a slow projectile that lands in the area Kirby just covered. It seems to be more cosmetic than an upgrade. B tier. Noble Ranger. It's the same as Chakram Cutter. 2 guns for 2 hands. And this is likely going to deal more damage overall. I'm putting it in the S tier. I think it's going to be a powered up version of an already strong ability. It's Time Crash! I don't know if this thing can crash enough, but can definitely slow down time, and that's pretty broken. There's either going to be a key element for an obstacle, or it's going to completely remove a challenge in an obstacle course. This thing is going to be S tier. It spots combat may be flawed, but this is not a tier list made about bosses. Deep sleep. The bed's adorable. Does the bed fight back? Does the bed protect Kirby? Probably not. Although I do think there is an upgrade here somewhere. Maybe it does protect Kirby, and maybe it even heals him. And if you haven't been paying attention, you don't recover your health after each level in this game. You're going to need all the health you can get, so there's some help instead of harm here. Just my speculation, but I think Deep Sleep will be a B tier. Okay, it's time for the final evolution stages. At least what I believe to be the final stages. This also might mean spoilers! Maybe. Drone Bomb's not even a confirmed name, but from the looks and description, these bombs can move on their own. And yeah, that takes away the challenge of aiming. But these bombs look bigger, and looking at this small clip, are also chained. Now since the bombs move, it's likely that big chains will be harder to pull off, but the fact that they literally move on their own then allows you to focus on your health, while the bombs do all the work for you. This goes in the A tier. Hard to control, not broken, but definitely awesome, and likely my personal favorite. Dragons are pretty cool, and deadly. Take that one from Mario Odyssey for example, or maybe Smog from The Hobbit. But big dragons don't exist in Kirby. We have Landia, and I'm not even sure if this is relevant at all. Okay, longer range, confirmed flight, and bigger damage. And a sick purple flame. Makes me want to put in the purple section. Nah, the range does not put in the D tier. This thing's pretty strong. I think it's B tier worthy. Next up on our list is Full Metal Cutter. If the name Full Metal doesn't spell it out, let me tell you this isn't a boomerang anymore. It's a saw. So you can imagine how much more pain this thing delivers. It can even bounce off walls. It doesn't need to come back. The package is already there, meaning very long range. Definitely an S tier. Wild Hammer. It does look wild in fact, and probably does more damage since stone hits harder than wood. And that's a large hammer. Might be slower for a drawback, but I can't say for certain. Definitely at least a B tier, but I don't think it's going to be as strong as some of the others out there. Blizzard Ice. Blizzard is one of the words that crosses your mind when you think of extreme and cold. While gameplay hasn't been shown, it is rumored to spray ice shards, probably meaning longer range and more damage, so an upgraded Ice Kirby. I place this in the A tier ability. Crystal Needle is very shiny. Okay, I have no idea what this thing is actually going to do. I've heard a rumor that it leaves spike traps on the ground, but I have no idea if that's actually true or not. There's definitely an upgrade somewhere, and it probably cuts the A tier because of that. Meta Knight's Sword. Well, Kirby's an adult Star Warrior now. Just kidding, he just stole Meta Knight's mask and sword. Maybe. Galaxia is a pretty strong sword though, and you may even be able to fly, but who knows, this might just be a bonus ability. But the sword isn't big, but for a higher level evolution, something has to be there to balance it out. I think it's going to be an S tier, but I might be wrong. Storm Tornado. This is definitely a significant tornado. Bigger, darker, and it's accompanied by lightning. Storm is fitting to tell you that a tornado is more authentic here. And for anyone who knows the true wrath of tornadoes, this thing is going to be a devil in the night. S tier. Space Ranger. Likely to be its official name, but the game here is a better gun. Instead of stars, this thing shoots lasers. Makes you feel right out in space, at least in movies. Space in real life will turn out to be a lot less fun if you're unaware of what space is actually like. I think this is going to be an S tier. The last one on our list has never actually been officially teased by Nintendo. Not by Twitter, not by YouTube, not by any of the commercials or leaks. This is the final ability of the Drill Kirby ability. Twins Drill. Now I might be wrong with the name, since it was never officially released, but someone got their hands on this image and it definitely looks real. Most likely one of the last blueprints you'll obtain in the game since it was never really teased, and the 2 is better than 1 applies here. However, it is said that only one of the 2 drills will focus on drilling the ground. The other is going to harass critters above, and that, our friends, is an ability where you can attack enemies while being completely invulnerable. I think I guess where this is going to go. It's an S tier. And that does it for my Kirby tier list before the game actually comes out. Now, this is all from what I know, but this does seem to be a complete fit for the collection we're going to get in this game. I'm not sure if there's going to be any abilities in the game that I did not mention here in this video. So, what are your thoughts on the game? What about this list? Is there anything you don't agree with? Feel free to comment below. I can handle a boatload of comments. I want to thank you so much for watching the entire video, and stay tuned for my thoughts after playing the game with each ability.